Welcome back to All the Cars I've Loved Before, your authoritative podcast on automotive nostalgia, where all our guests are unique. Each auto has an era, and every car tells a story. So you know what time it is. It's time to plug in, get a little grease under those nails, and slip into your favorite car-themed t-shirt, hat, or jacket. And today we have something unique. I am Doug doing the introduction here instead of our usual captain, Christian. Christian had to deal with some personal stuff tonight, so we have a guest co-host, and I'm super excited about it because I've always wanted to have one. So with that, our guest co-host was a guest on season 5, episode 7. His name is Dave. We talked about his K car and his Volkswagen. Some people refer to him as Deputy Dave. Deputy Dave, how are you today?
I am doing fantastic. I'm so proud to be here as a
Yeah.
guest host, and I want to do the podcast proud, but I'm just here to say hello to listener land and hope I can fill some very big shoes tonight. But yeah, I'm here for it.
Well, it's great to have you here. We had so much fun and you were natural. So when Christian and I were talking about who else could fill in, you were the second name that came up. You know who the first one was.
I do
Your
know who the
friend,
first one was, so
your
it's
your
okay.
friend Andrew. Andrew.
And I am 100% uh, comfortable and proud to be number 2 chair, because
Hmm.
if I had a choice for who I'd want to be as a host on my show, my first choice would be Andrew also. So
Yeah.
I don't get it. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't knock it.
Well, we're glad to have you with us, Dave. Appreciate your time. Appreciate all the listeners and everybody's support. And yeah, Dave, looking back at our episode with you, you have, just for cars, you have a 2024 Ram 1500. You have a
Mm.
1996 Honda Acti Street, which
Mm-hmm.
is a Japanese K microvan, which I saw. And actually, we put a video of you talking about it on our YouTube channel
It is on the YouTube.
in olive drab green. And just for our listeners who haven't heard that episode, why did you buy the K car? What led you to it?
So I am very big on weird, quirky, and small vehicles. And so when I was looking into a project vehicle, I started seeing K trucks, the also Honda Acti, but the truck version popping up. And I said, wow, those would be really cool to have. I started shopping online and landed on the van that I actually own. And it was one of those love at first sight moments. I saw the van. It was still in Japan at the time, but I saw the van for sale and I said, that's the one I want. And I bought it now. And it took 6 months to get here, but that is definitely what kind of led me down that road. I wanted something small and quirky. I already had an olive drab green. Did I say that right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Olive drab green Volkswagen Beetle 67. Her name's Alice. And so when an olive drab green
Mm.
minivan, microvan popped up, it was one of those like I said, love at first sight moments. I was like, "Oh, yep, that's the one I got to have." And I bought it and here it is and I love it. To this day, I still drive it almost weekly.
And you use it to transport your CPR dummies, right?
Yes, that's the main reason I went with the van instead of a
Yep.
truck. I have a CPR business that I do on the side, and it was
Hmm.
perfect for all of my supplies. That it keeps them out of the weather, and it's different because you don't see many vans either. So I've never shied away from turning heads and being pointed and laughed at, and here I am continuing it, but I don't mind whatsoever.
It's awesome. Awesome. Well, and you have a bunch of things in common with our guest, who I'm going to go ahead and introduce. Her name is Christina Lardie. I found her via social medias, but also because she runs in a tight pack of young ladies. They used to call themselves the Creator Race, and that included Riley from Riley's Rebuilds, Caroline from HH Wheels, and some others that I'm hoping we can interview in the near future. Christina, how are you?
I'm doing fantastic. Thank you for
Good,
having me.
good, good. Thank you for being here. So I mentioned that you and Dave have a couple things in common. I think it's past being an EMT, but can you tell us about yourself? Obviously, you had a career before the social media, and then tell us what you've been doing.
I am a medically retired EMT from the San Francisco Fire Department. And after I retired, or right around the time that I retired, my dad passed away, and he was really into classic cars. And I had interest for a long time before he had passed. And I never took that opportunity to learn from him because my parents were divorced. They didn't live with him full time. So I didn't
Mhm.
have the garage opportunities with him on a regular basis. And also, I was young. I was like, "Oh, we have all the time in the world. We'll do this once he retires and I get to a point where we can do this together." And unfortunately, we didn't get to that point. Fortunately, though, I have a car to work on and I am a noob that's going to learn how to do it with help, not by myself. None of this has been done by myself. I'm going to be learning how to actually finish the car in his memory.
Wonderful,
That's
wonderful.
awesome.
And, you were telling us before the podcast that you bought this your dad bought this 1969 Camaro SS, and he bought it with both your names on it, right? Because that was his plan, and so you're just carrying it out.
He did not tell me he bought it initially. He was very sneaky, very sneaky. He did this
Apparently.
with my first bicycle as well. He's like, "Oh, this is a cool bicycle. Let's help pick one out for your stepmother." So we're all there looking at the bikes, whatever, and then he surprises me with the bike going, "Oh, we were actually picking out your bike." He did the same thing with the car. We'd
Mhm,
go to car shows, try to figure out what car. I didn't know what year. I didn't know what I did had no idea. I knew he was gonna get something for us to do because he did it with some I'm the oldest of his 5, and I had no idea. He had had it for a year. Apparently, it was drivable at the time that he bought it.
mhm.
On my 30th birthday, it was the unibody on jack stands in a garage, like, almost completely stripped, and I have no idea what it looked like. I have no pictures, or I don't know what the condition was when he actually got it. Yeah, definitely from the ground up.
Do you know where he got it from?
No
No?
idea. My stepmother doesn't know. He didn't tell me. No idea.
So, just out of curiosity, how did you find it? Like, did he gift it to you when it was on jack stands?
Yes. So on my 30th birthday, I was out there and he took me to it was someone else's house that he had been storing it at. The gentleman was doing body work and paint on it, and he had stripped all the layers of paint away. So it was not even primed. It was he started doing the jams
Okay.
with the color, and mind you, the color that he picked, he had not seen the color. I had imagined it in my head. We saw a bunch of colors at different car shows. I like this one. I don't like this one. I like this one, but I don't like the purple. He picked the color specifically based on those descriptions, and it's the exact color I imagined in my head,
That's
which
amazing.
is crazy. And I don't even want to like the jams are painted right now. I almost don't want to touch it
Yeah.
because that's what he didn't actually paint it. He had someone do it, but
Right.
he did show it to me, but it didn't even have the subframe on it at that time. After he passed, when I went to the gentleman's house to check on the car, he had put the subframe on it. Other than that, it still the entire car was it didn't have fenders on it, it didn't have a hood on it. Yeah, my logo is actually the image of what it looked like right after he passed away. It's the unibody with the subframe and it's just like floating.
That's cool. Well, I think it's awesome that just by your subtle clues and cues, he was able to kind of imagine that same color that you were imagining and make that happen for you. That is just those deep connections that we have with our loved ones that we don't even realize are there. I think that's just awesome and on its own, you know? Please tell me that the guy that was painting it still has some of the paint so that we can complete it.
He gave me the can, so I have the can.
Okay.
I had taken it from that gentleman because he wasn't giving me straight answers. I was like,
Mm.
"How much is it gonna cost to get it to a point where I can take it home?" And he's like, I'm like, "Okay, well, I'm taking it home with me." And through somebody at a car show locally, I was able to find a gentleman that does body work and paint. Has since retired from it, but he took really good care of the car. He put it to get the body together that way it actually looks like a car now, and then he did, epoxy with the overspray. So he took it looks kind of like a shark right now because 'cause it's got the gray epoxy and then a little bit of the blue overspray, and the jams are kind of done, so it's like I'm kind of getting attached to how it looks, like, unfinished. But I have it in my garage now, and,
Nice.
foreshadowing, we're gonna have a lot more work done on it in the
Mhm.
next few months.
But this is what your whole platform is, right? You're gonna learn how to put it back together and make it, as good as new through this process.
Yes, that and then some. I had no idea that I'd be going the direction that I'm going. I was just like, I'm going to learn everything I can so I can work on this car. And as I'm throwing everything at the wall to see how I can learn, because I'm not going to mechanic school, especially with my back integrity wise. I don't want to sign up for a class and go, well, I can't lift that. I
Right.
can't do that. If I'm going to sign up for a class, I'm going to sign up for a class to do what I need to do. I'm not going to sign up for a
Mhm.
mechanics course and tell them they need to modify for me. That's just not how I work. And I've been doing all learning from other people in ways where I don't have to force anybody to modify for me. It's more easier to be like, "Hey, can you help me with this? I can't physically do this." And the people that I'm usually learning from understand that, and they're okay jumping in when I need the physical help along with the educational part as well.
Mm. Gotcha.
That's the way to do it. If you know your limitations, there's no reason to push your limitations and re-injure yourself, but you still want to learn, and that's the way to do it. Is surround yourself with people that are willing to help both educationally and physically.
Is there a drivetrain in this car? I'm not sure I heard about that.
Well, I have a rear end.
Okay,
I
that's cool.
am in conversations with race
Mhm.
winning brands right now. We are discussing, I'm still learning all the things. A short rod 383, because my dad wanted to do a 383 stroker, and Rich with TEM Performance, he's out of Sonoma County. My dad had known him. I was there when we dropped the engine off because we had 2 engines. I think one was from a '72 and then one might have been from my car. I don't know, but we had 2
Mhm.
383 strokers we took to Rich. He
Okay.
took them both apart, and we had been discussing for a while to have this engine build, and he wanted me to learn more first. He was awesome enough not to take over the project. I told him what my goal was, and he let me go out in the world and learn versus just building the engine for me. I could have had the engine done a while ago, but he wanted to allow me to do as much learning as I can before actually building it. Now I'm talking with race winning brands about the different products that they make to be able to put this engine together, and with hopes, we're in talks of me doing manufacturer tours to understand how they actually make the product, so me as a newbie can understand how the products are made and have a better idea of how they function. And then when I go to Rich's shop, we're going to put the engine together.
Nice.
For the clutch, Center Force clutches have already been out to their facility and seen how they put the product together, so that was a no-brainer for me to decide to do a center force clutch and flywheel. And then I'm still in talks with Richmond. I believe we're going to do the RGI 5 with the 0.64 overdrive. It's going to be a manual. And yeah, that's drivetrain stuff, right? And then I took it to some place when I first started. I think it's a True Track on the
Mhm.
inside. It's what do you, 12, is it 12 bolt? That's the, now I can't remember.
That is a terminology in rear
It is.
ends. That's about all I know.
I'm still learning.
Well, that's
Yeah,
that's the whole point, though. That's what
but
we're all learning, right?
there's a plan there. Yeah, that's super exciting, and of course, your YouTube channel, we'll talk more about it, but, is called Christina's Garage Gearhead and Training, so you heard it here. That's what she's doing, and, yeah, very, very impressive. You've got a plan, there's a project.
Oh
It
yeah. So,
Mhm.
Yeah,
you were talking about the creator race team. That
yeah.
got me. Do you want me to start with kind of, because that is what inspired me for what I'm doing with my car.
Yeah,
Eh,
please, please.
Okay. So, we were talking about Riley with Riley's Rebuilds. I met
Mhm.
her my first year at SEMA. This last SEMA was my third,
Okay.
and Richmond gear was so cool. They invited me to come to SEMA, and I'm like, okay, whatever. Let's go. I have no idea. Everybody's like, these are bucket list. I'm going, I'm a noob. I know nothing. I'm showing up to SEMA anyway. I was going to some of the booths that I had recognized over going to Hot X Nights and Good Guys over it was it's been 5 years since I started to get into this and only 2.5 since I really started diving into it. And, I had parts in my garage that my dad had left, and so I was going to these booths that matched the name of the products, trying to go, "What in the world is this? I don't know how to put it together. What is this even
Gotcha.
called?" That's how I met Richmond at Hot August Nights, and Greg, their one of the I think he's their lead engineer or one of their main engineer was the one I really met, and then he got me connected with their marketing guy, and they're the ones that got me to SEMA. So I'm at SEMA, going around to the booths. I go to the Willwood booth because I knew them from meeting from I have Willwood brakes in my garage. And Miguel goes, "Hey, have you gone over to the she shed and met all the gals?" I'm like, "What in the world is the she shed? I have no idea what you're talking about." He's like, "Oh, it's just over there." And it was with the Real Deal Revolution, with Girl Gang Garage, and there were a bunch of different groups of women that were all underneath the same booth that year. And I met Riley, and I did their carburetor rebuild workshop,
Mm.
and then met them again at the following SEMA and stayed in contact. And then I think it was like 8 months ago or something like that. She started this group message with all these women that
Mhm.
are within the automotive industry. And she goes, "Hey, this opportunity has come up for the great race. Who would want to join in?" And like me, yes, I'll do it. I have no idea how much time it needs to take, but this is what I don't need to take time off work. So, might as well just see what happens. I was expecting to pay full out of pocket for stuff. I was not expecting any sponsors for me as an individual. I just wanted to be a part of the experience. Turns out that we had, I think, a total of like 10 to 12 women that rotated out over the 9 days that participated in the Great Race, racing her 1966 Ford Fairlane. And the rest is history.
That's
We
awesome.
we did all of the things. We did the Great Race. The sponsors were so happy. Like my trip ended up being fully covered by sponsors, which was just unimaginable for someone like myself that's like new into this. And they were so happy. They invited us out back to Florida to work on the car and then prep it to do Road to SEMA, and it was on display at SEMA. That entire experience inspired me that, wow, I can actually do this with my car.
Yeah.
So I'm like reaching out to people that I've built relationships with, like Richmond, and just going, "Hey, I am being really ambitious because I have like 6 months to build my car. Can we do it?" And we're gonna do the best we can. I mean, I'm putting it out that we're gonna do it, and that so I can actually we're doing Route 66. Yeah. I'm like, I can't not, and it's the 100th anniversary of Route
That's
66.
right, that's right.
Well, that just
Yep,
gives you more fuel to make
yep.
it happen, right? If you don't envision it happening, it won't happen, and you are definitely off to the good start of making it happen. So kudos to you on that.
Yeah.
Um, Now, one thing we also wanted to touch on is you mentioned that you also have another project vehicle that has a lot to do with your dad, and that is the 52 Chevy pickup. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
So it's not my project. It is the San Francisco Firefighters Toy Program's vehicle. So it's like their main car or the main truck that picks up and drops off toys for kids, also delivers helmets and bicycles and does a lot of good for the community. Was rebuilt and dedicated to my dad. My maiden name is Altenberg. That was my dad's last name. So they call it the Altenberg. And I want to do what I can with my influence and with this project to bring attention to the San Francisco Firefighters Toy Program, because my dad was a firefighter there. I was an EMT for that same fire department and grew up in the firehouse experiencing the good and the joy that the toy program brings to the community. And they are the nonprofit that I want to speak about throughout this entire journey. And it would be really cool to see, if any of the sponsors along the way would be willing to help put towards the car, because the president of the toy program, he is the one that's essentially paying out of pocket to work on this truck and to do what he can, and with some other help of some other firefighters to work on this truck. So it would be really cool to be able to make the connections there, to be able to help work on it. And I told them I would love to be a part of it as well if they can teach me as we're working on the car, because they have a whole list of things that they want to do on it. It is the original red lacquer paint as well.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
And it's
Wow.
not sealed or anything either. I guess they were using, like, oil or something initially to kinda keep it, but I was like, it'd be kind of interesting to talk to some of these companies, like, I've heard of Poppy's Patina, or, like, some of
Yep.
these other ones that make product that is specifically for preserving patina vehicles. Like, it's a very nice condition from the outside. Like, you wouldn't have
Mhm.
guessed it to be the original paint. It's not like a bunch of, like, scratches. It looks really nice and red, like firefighter truck red with the Christmas red,
Mhm.
it's a
We
really cool
You know
truck.
how we firefighters are. We love our red trucks, right?
Yeah.
Um, so that being said about the toy drive, is that the toy drive something, the toy program, is that something that also, people can get involved with like donation of toys or time or anything like that? Or is that kind of just for the union?
So they do take monetary and toy donations. Most of the events they do, they'll have buckets for toys, and that's actually one thing in after, so my plan of doing the great race and then go with the toy truck with my Camaro to some of these events to collect toys.
Okay.
And one of the events, I don't know, well, you guys are in Michigan. You're not
We're
anywhere close.
Maryland.
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 I'm not as geographically inclined. Born and raised California. I haven't really
Yep.
traveled as much until
That's
recently.
okay. It's okay. You
Uh,
had the M right. We're not gonna
it
we're
Yeah.
started
we're
with
not
an
gonna
M.
judge. You had the M.
The San Francisco Old Car Picnic, they do a car show every year in Golden Gate Park, and I talked with the organizers. We're still in talks about it. I hope that in fall of 2026, I can bring my Camaro with the toy truck, with also historic apparatus to the event, and I would love to have, like, a truck full of toys that have been donated, like, in tow to bring it all the way down, because 'cause I'm about, without traffic, like, 2 hours-ish from Sacramento to San Francisco. If you are anywhere near here, you know that traffic is horrid. So, the goal would be to have, like, closer to the time, I can say if people wanted to directly donate toys, that I could maybe do Amazon wish list or something to my PO box, that, we could do a bunch of toys. They know that the toys were received. I've done something similar with a local school where I'll have people send toys, and I will video and show where all the toys are going so people know, that it's received, that I'd be bringing them. At least that's the idea that I have in my head. But if you wanna directly donate to them, they do have a website that you can do monetary stuff, and if you're local, you can go to some of their events and actually bring toys to
Awesome.
their, I think they collect toys all year round too.
Well, offline, we'll get that link from you and we'll make sure that we're putting it on our website along with your contact information too. So hopefully in the next couple months we'll be able to see you out there and your Camaro with this beautiful red truck. And noting the patina, this is why people always search for California cars. You got a
Yeah.
1952 truck that's original paint and you would never know. That's why people are always searching
Yeah.
searching for California cars. I mean,
Yeah.
there's your bread and butter right there.
Well, I hear a lot of it has to do with the humidity too, right?
Yep.
Because it's
Yeah.
not as wet, I guess. Humid, right? Humid's the
Mhm.
word.
Yeah,
Yep.
so the rust is what, it's the humidity creates rust and rust just eats metal. So
For sure, yeah, and that's why every time I go to California, I am shocked at the number of old cars I see that are in phenomenal condition, patina or not, survivors, and we wouldn't see those out here, Dave. We'd see them rusting in somebody's yard, probably.
Yeah, the ones that have the plants through the floorboard out the
Yeah,
windows.
yeah,
Yeah, that's what
yeah.
we get.
Well, and that's I mean, not the only reason, but I think
Right.
another reason why it's so important for the word to get out about how important it is to preserve that culture, especially in California. Like SEMA Action has been working a lot with that to try to preserve our culture, especially in California, with not just classic cars, but cars in general.
Yeah.
It's We have a huge community, especially Southern California is really huge with the car culture too,
Yeah.
that you don't know it unless you've experienced it.
Yeah.
And I've never been to California, so that's a bucket
Haven't.
list for me. I want to get out there and see all the classic cars myself, but I
Yeah.
haven't had a chance yet. But we'll get there.
I'm actually going there next week.
Well, you have a connection out there.
San Diego. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. But I love San Diego, and the cars is just a bonus. But speaking of cars, so what we want to do, Christina, is hop in my DeLorean. We're going to hit 80A, which is somewhat safe. I don't think I've gone that fast recently. And my tires are new, so newish. And we want to talk about your first car. What was your first car? How'd you get it? What are some great memories of it? Or not so great memories of it? What sticks out?
So the first car that I owned, because my mom, you always get a car that's not necessarily yours. You're driving other, your parents' cars. I had an Isuzu that I drove, and then
Hmm.
my mom had I forgot what year, but it was a BMW that she didn't want to pay the car payment, so I actually paid the $300 something car payment, so just so I could drive it. And I realized how spoiled I was with rear wheel drive and how heavy the vehicle was. It was so nice that when I went to go buy my first car, that I was a little bit more picky. I was able to find a 2010 Dodge Avenger, and I was actually really happy with the car as a whole. Like, the sound system was cool. I liked how it was a heavy, solid car. The only problem is that the alternator would go out so often. I don't even know how many alternators I went through, but I learned what an alternator was and how important it was for
Yeah.
driving it down the road because it would go out so often. I was able to get it though until like over 200,000 miles, and I got it at I think I got it about 60,000 miles.
Okay.
Yeah, I had it for a while, and it was a solid car, and I had it until I moved out here. And it was after my injury that I sold it because I had my truck at that time as well. So I had 2 cars and I wasn't commuting anymore, but
Hmm.
the Dodge was great. I really liked it. The gas mileage was pretty good. I mean, the only issue that I had was the alternator. I even hit a deer going 80 miles an hour in at like 5 in the morning where you couldn't see anything, and it took out the deer. I was able to finish because it was dark. If I would have pulled over, I could have potentially gotten hit. I'm like, I'm just gonna try to it was on the way to work.
Yep.
So I
Of course,
pulled
5
in.
a.m.
Yeah, I pulled into work. It was still dark. It was during winter time, so the sun wasn't even out. It was so dark, and I was not able to drive it home, but I was able to get it to work. And like there was hair in the front.
Yeah.
That car was solid. It's
Mhm.
like it took out a deer and kept going.
Yep. Yeah. It's funny. I've never hit a deer, but everybody I know, it's like the deer kicked a hole. They'll find fur in their car, in crevices of their car. It's hilarious. No harm meant to the deer, of course.
They're overpopulated.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and was that a car you got kind of post high school? You mentioned your mom's car.
Yeah, I think yeah, because I was working at the time.
Okay.
Since I paid for it my own. I can't remember what year I bought it.
Okay.
But it was definitely out of school, and I went to school and worked. Like, I worked well,
Hmm.
I went to EMT school the summer that like, I started the schooling the summer after I graduated high school, so I had done the EMT classes, and then I got a job, and I was going to school at the same time, so it took me a lot longer to finish my degree because I was working at the same time. So it was, like, in the middle of that I got the car.
Gotcha. Gotcha. So that car lasted a while, and then there was a little bit of overlap. You got your truck. Tell There's a lot of truck people here who are listeners. Tell us about it.
Well, when I was young, my dad had a Chevy Silverado. It was white, single cab. And I remember that he would, with my parents being divorced, he would do the pickup with
Mhm.
us in the truck, and we would drive long distances in the truck to go to either his place or my oma, my grandmother's place. And I had so many memories in that. And even my stepfather at for a short period of time, he had I believe it was a Chevy Silverado as well, but it was lifted, and I was at the time where I was kind of learning how to drive, and it was manual. I could not reach the pedal to get the clutch all the way down. Like, he was like 6 foot, he was really tall, and I'm 5. I like to say 5'6", but I'm actually like 5'5" and a half, like but trying to get the clutch all the way down in that car, I had the whole bench seat I had to bring all the way up. I'm like, "Okay,
Mhm.
no." But I had wanted a Chevy Silverado for a really long time, and a mutual coworker, he was a paramedic on the suppression side, so he was a firefighter paramedic with the same fire department. My dad was like, "Oh, yeah, he's looking to sell his truck." And it was gas. My idea was like, well, I kind of wanted a diesel though. So I didn't say yes right away. And then after talking with some people, because of my lack of experience, the diesel maintenance would be more for someone like myself. My brother-in-law actually has the same exact truck, but diesel, and he has all the experience. He can maintenance it all on his own. So
Mhm.
that wasn't a big deal. My dad approached the gentleman and he was like, "Hey, I'm looking to buy it for Christina." And he knew me because we've ran calls together too. And my dad, I don't know what he paid for it because he only let me pay him 3 grand. So he like indirectly helped me buy my first truck, a 2006 Chevy Silverado 2500 heavy duty with the full extra cab, and it has a camper shell as well. And it is a really awesome truck. I was told that the engine was a really good year, that, like, 2007, they started making the engine a little bit different, so a lot of the people I talked to were like, "Yeah, 2006 is a really great year."
Mhm.
And
Yeah, I had one of the 2007 to 2013 ranges, and I had nothing but issues. So you do have one of the last good engines that came in the I think it's the 5.3 or 5.7. I can't think of off the top of my head. It's one of the two, because I've been a Ram guy for the last couple years. But yeah, the 2006, because they introduced a fuel injector control module that would shut off half the cylinders at like cruising speed, and it would end up the oil pump didn't stop. So then those cylinders would fill up with oil. And then when it restarted, it would burn off that oil. And soon enough, if you drove long enough, you'd run out of oil.
that I could see how that could become an issue. Was that some of the emission style stuff that they were trying to make better gas
Yep.
mileage and all? Got it.
Yep. Exactly.
Yep.
That was the ticket. And they did fix it in the long run. But for a long time, not to speak ill of Chevy, but they were sticking by oh no, it's fine. It's fine. And it's like, it's not fine. My dipstick is dry. That's not fine.
Yep.
But yeah, they did end up coming back around and getting that stuff
It's
straight.
it's funny, Cadillac in the '80s, I think it might have only been 1 year, they had a similar system that could it was a V8, and you could shut off X number of cylinders and become I think a V6 or a V4. Apparently, it was terrible. Now, that's the '80s for you, right? And, actually, it reminds me of Dave, I think your first car was an Oldsmobile?
Yeah,
Yeah.
86 Oldsmobile Cutlass.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And my dad had speaking of diesels, my dad had like a early '80s Delta 88 diesel. I think they only made them for a couple years. It was a truck engine that they put in a car, and it just didn't work well at all. He had nothing but problems with it. But those are such great stories. I think we're all it's amazing the connection we can have to our parents through all these different things. And my dad passed away 5 years ago. And for anybody who's listened to the podcast, they'll hear me talk about the DeLorean. Did I ever own the DeLorean when my dad was around? No. The joke is if I had gone to buy it, he would have called me stupid if he was alive. But whenever I'm working on it, and he was an electrical engineer, so he taught me about soldering. I'm not nearly competent as he is. And it started conversations in my head. I'm like, how would dad do this? What would he be doing? And I just love it. It makes it so special, even though he had nothing to do with the car.
It's a really great because we don't talk about grief enough, just as humans in general. Culture, we just kind of shove it off to the side, like, oh, you'll get over it. No, like, especially when it's someone that you were really close to, the grief is usually a reflection of the love that you had between that person that you've then lost. And I think it's been it's given me direction for that grief to be able to put it into action rather than just having a picture on the shelf or something else, like being able to physically do something that in that action, like everything that I do now, almost everything that I do, especially with cars, like I'm thinking of my dad the whole time and being able to carry his legacy forward as well as create my own in the process. And I see that with a lot of people, like you were saying, Doug,
Hmm.
that are like, well, my dad was into it. And, it's usually the dad, not as I think it's becoming more common that women are getting into this. I have spoken to some women that have been in it for a long time and it's really cool. Although I do see more people say their dad or their brother or some male figure in their life was into cars and that's what introduced them into it. It's a really cool way to remember people and
Yeah.
that you're driving it down the road. It's not something that just collects dust. I mean, sometimes they do, right? The car, I haven't touched the car in a couple years, but it's still like it gets to a point where I'm going to be able to take it out and be able to collect toys with the toy program truck.
Hmm.
There's so many things you can do with it that it allows the grief to lead into something more fulfilling, not just
Yeah.
for yourself, but also something you can share with other people.
Yep. Yep.
And sorry,
100%. Oh, go
um,
ahead.
that and it's the same. You're carrying on the the process that your dad already started without you even knowing. You know what I mean? So like this is something he was doing while he was here. It's something tangible, like you said, you can put your hands on, but it's also something he started that you can continue not only in his name, but in his whole demeanor. That this is something he was obviously planning on doing anyway. And you're here to honor him through that. And it's something tangible. A lot of thing about grief is we want something that we can touch. And here you have the actual physical object that he started with. And you're going to do your own thing, yes, but you're doing it in your way to honor him, and I think that that's honorable in itself. So that's awesome that you're taking this process and you're trying to help other people show the process, but also living with it yourself. So props to you for that, for sure.
Thank you. I really appreciate that.
Worries, yeah.
It's a gift your dad left you with, right? And it's not just the car, right? It's everything the car means to you, but also what it's become.
Mm,
And it's cool having conversations with other people and not just women. So we're talking about the Creator Race team, like a lot of the women that are involved, they're focused on helping other women. And for me, I have found especially that I over my lifetime I haven't really had healthy relationships with women growing up. And it's not until more recently that I've been able to actually find women that I can have a good healthy relationship with. And I see I've working in I was working in a primarily male dominated being a first responder and then now being in the automotive world there's a lot of men involved as well.
Mhm.
I am not focused on just helping women. I want to help newbies in general or people who want to learn more. And there's been a lot of men that I've talked to that like I'm like, "Hey, I did this thing and they were telling me the difference between a torque converter and a catalytic converter because I got confused between the two." And
Mhm.
there are a lot of men that are like, "I didn't know that. Thank you for sharing."
Yeah.
And they go, "Well, I can't work on the cars with my friends because they're like way beyond me and I want to learn, but I don't want to go to mechanic school because that's not what I do for a living, but I would like to like learn more." So that's the people that I want to help. Not just women. I want to help men and women, newbies or people that want to learn more to show them that if you say you don't know and you want to learn, men or women, that the culture in general, like there's always going to be people everywhere that's going to be a butthead about it.
Yeah.
Everywhere you're going to find those people. But the majority, if you want to learn about it, if you don't know where to start, go to a local Cars and Coffee and then just start asking
Yes.
questions. And when people I don't know very many people who don't want to talk about their cars when they bring it to Cars and Coffee. That's why you bring it.
Right, exactly.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
it's going to be really cool to continue building this momentum to not only just tell people, hey, there are people that are more welcoming as they gain momentum, be like, I've lived it. So I can tell you that, yes, if you are interested, go and put yourself out there because look at where I am now. And even people who've known me like years ago and then me having car conversations now, they're going, wow, you can actually hold a conversation. And I'm
Yeah.
just throwing a party over here, like drivetrain. Okay, we're talking about the engine and, all these things. And it just, over time, when you're immersed in it and you're interested in it, you're going to learn. And that's what I want to inspire other people that if you have an interest, like you're not going to be, like a rocket scientist overnight.
No, it's a process, but there has to be a good core of people that want to teach other people and are welcome to anybody that wants to learn, no matter where you come from, what your age is, whatever the case may be. If I have knowledge, I want to help you gain that same knowledge. And I think you're doing a great job of kind of fostering that idea. So kudos are there too. So the one question we always have to ask is if, budget's not a thing,
Mm.
whatever the case may be, what would be your, now that you've been through all these car shows and been to SEMA, I mean,
Yeah.
I'm even jealous of the SEMA thing. What is your dream car? What would be that thing that you could put in your garage to make yourself feel good? It doesn't have to be expensive, but I'm just saying, whatever that car might be, what would be the one that you would pick for yourself at least?
I already have her. My
Yeah.
1969 Camaro.
And I understand that. I understand that.
I am really excited because I'm actually going to be building her this year.
Right.
So that's where me asking for help comes in handy because, building a car is not cheap. So it's going to be an interesting process, but yeah, she is the one. I don't need any other ones. I look at all the other cars and I see mine.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome that you've already got that part of it because there's a lot of them. Like even me, I have a whole list of dream cars. I could sit here for another hour just listing off my dream cars, but that's just because I'm never satisfied. But you have that in your garage that you're actively working on bringing it to the public through your channels, which we're going to get to. So I want to plug your stuff because we've been talking about you. I want other people to find you. I want them to see the process. I want them to see your progress. So let's plug you real quick. On YouTube, you can find Christina's Garage. On Instagram, under Christina Lardie. Facebook is also Christina Lardie. TikTok, they're all, except for YouTube, they're all Christina Lardie. And you also have a link tree attached to your Instagram. So please, if you're listening, go check out Christina on her YouTube and her Instagram. Follow along with this process. Let's see this Camaro come to life. I'm excited for it to come to life. I can't wait to see this toy drive. Let's make this the biggest toy drive ever because there's a lot of deserving people out there that are underprivileged that we can help. And even if you can't, just by clicking that subscribe, watching some videos, you're helping the process in itself. So please go check out Christina. She's got awesome story to tell, and I
Yeah.
can't wait to keep hearing the story through this process. And I just want to say, I know I'm stepping on Doug a little bit, but thank you
You're
so
fine.
much for having this conversation with us. I've
Thank
enjoyed
you.
this greatly. No, take it, Doug.
Yeah, no, thank you again, Christina. It's such a pleasure after seeing all your videos and your content and learning more about you and just the things you're doing, just the process. Like, hey, I have these parts. Going to the vendor booth. What is this part for? Right? Like, I love how you just went and did that. Like,
Yeah.
it's inspiring, right? Versus somebody behind a keyboard trying to figure it out, which, is great, but it's kind of overused these days. You went the kind of old school path. But so with that all said, we're gonna gently guide the podcast off the ramp to the off ramp. Normally does this. And we want to thank everyone for listening. We've been having a great time with Dave and Christina. Dave's going to do some stuff about his Volkswagen, I hope. And
Very, very soon. That's the plan, at least.
for anybody who's watching the video, Dave has a Volkswagen memorabilia collection behind him.
Yeah. This is only just a fraction of what you can see in the whole room. But yeah, as you
Yeah.
can see, I'm a little bit of a Volkswagen nut when it comes to memorabilia.
So you can find our podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Buzzsprout, all the major podcast platforms. We have new content coming out every Tuesday, #Torque Tuesday. You have just heard the high revving, low mileage, late model, heard around the world, authoritative podcast on automotive nostalgia. He's Dave, I'm Doug, and she was Christina.